They don't stay broke because they lack money. They stay broke because they think like it. Not just in their bank account, but in their identity. Because long before wealth shows up in your hands, it must exist in your mind. Long before success becomes visible in your life, it must become undeniable in your thinking. And most people never cross that invisible line. They chase money, they grind, they hustle, but deep inside, they still see themselves as someone who struggles, someone who lacks, someone who is always trying to get there. And that is why they never arrive. Because you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your identity. A broke mindset doesn't just say, "I don't have enough." It whispers something far more dangerous. It says, "This is who you are." It shows up in hesitation, in doubt, in the quiet moments where opportunity stands in front of you and you convince yourself you're not ready. It shows up when you play small, when you settle for less, when you accept limits that were never meant for you. And the truth is, most people inherit this mindset without even realizing it. It is passed down in conversations, in environments, in the subtle programming of a world that teaches you to survive, but never to thrive. You hear it growing up: be realistic, money is hard to get, people like us don't become successful. And slowly, without noticing, you start to believe it, not consciously, but deeply. And once that belief is planted, it begins to shape everything: your decisions, your actions, your expectations, your results. Because the mind does not argue with what it accepts as truth, it obeys it. This is why two people can stand in the same place with the same opportunities and create completely different lives. One sees limitation, the other sees possibility. One hesitates, the other acts. One doubts, the other decides. And that difference, that invisible shift in thinking, is the difference between staying where you are and becoming everything you were meant to be. Look at the ones who changed the world. There was a man who failed over and over again, thousands of times, chasing something no one could see yet. He wasn't just building an invention, he was building belief in something the world had not yet accepted. While others saw failure, he saw progress. While others saw impossibility, he saw inevitability. That is not talent, that is identity. There was a young dreamer who was told he lacked imagination, who was rejected, dismissed, and doubted, yet he continued to see a world no one else could envision, not because he had proof, but because he had conviction. And that conviction shaped reality itself. There was a leader who faced defeat after defeat, loss after loss, yet refused to let his circumstances define him. While the world saw struggle, he saw purpose. While others gave up, he persisted. Not because it was easy, but because he had already decided who he was. These were not lucky individuals. They were aligned individuals, aligned with a version of themselves that existed before the world could recognize it. And that is where your transformation begins. Not when you get more money, not when you find the perfect opportunity, not when everything finally falls into place. It begins the moment you decide to no longer identify with limitation, the moment you refuse to see yourself as someone who struggles, the moment you shift from trying to become to deciding that you already are. Because wealth is not just something you earn, it is something you embody. It is a way of thinking, a way of seeing, a way of moving through the world with certainty, clarity, and intention. And once that identity is formed, everything else begins to follow. But the shift is not comfortable, because letting go of a broke mindset means letting go of the version of yourself you have known for so long. It means stepping into uncertainty. It means acting differently before you feel ready. It means thinking bigger when everything around you tells you to stay small. And that requires courage, the kind of courage that is quiet, the kind that doesn't announce itself, the kind that shows up in decisions, in actions, in moments where no one is watching. Because identity is not changed by what you say, it is changed by what you repeatedly do. You don't become confident by waiting to feel confident. You become confident by taking action while fear is still present. You don't become successful by hoping for success. You become successful by aligning your behavior with success before it arrives. And this is where discipline becomes your greatest ally, not as punishment, but as transformation. Because discipline is the daily proof that you are no longer who you used to be. It is the evidence that your identity is shifting. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you reinforce the new version of yourself. Every time you take action despite doubt, you strengthen belief. Every time you refuse to quit, you break the patterns that once held you back. And slowly, almost silently, something begins to change. You start to think differently. You start to act differently. You start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You start to expect more from yourself and from life. And that expectation is powerful, because expectation shapes reality. If you expect struggle, you will find it. If you expect limitation, you will experience it. But if you expect growth, expansion, and success, your mind begins to search for ways to make it real. It begins to filter the world differently. It begins to align your actions with your vision. It begins to pull you toward the life you have decided to create. But there will be resistance. There will be moments when the old mindset tries to pull you back, moments when doubt creeps in, moments when fear whispers that you are not enough. And in those moments, you must remember something that most people forget. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who chooses which thoughts to believe. And that choice, repeated over time, becomes identity. So when doubt appears, you don't entertain it. You replace it. When fear speaks, you don't listen. You act anyway. When the old version of you tries to return, you refuse to give it control, because you have already made a decision, and that decision is final. You are no longer the person who thinks small. You are no longer the person who hesitates. You are no longer the person who waits. You are becoming the person who moves with purpose, who thinks with clarity, who acts with certainty. And as that identity strengthens, something extraordinary begins to happen. You stop chasing money and you start creating value. You stop seeking approval and you start trusting yourself. You stop waiting for opportunity and you start building it. Because wealth is not built by accident. It is built by intention, by focus, by consistent, aligned action over time. And those who understand this, those who truly embody this, become unstoppable forces of creation. Not because they are perfect, but because they are committed. Committed to growth, committed to learning, committed to becoming more. And that commitment transforms everything. Because every setback becomes a lesson, every failure becomes feedback, every challenge becomes a stepping stone. You no longer see obstacles as barriers. You see them as opportunities to evolve, to refine, to strengthen. And that perspective is what separates those who remain stuck from those who rise. Because the journey from a broke mindset to a wealth identity is not about avoiding difficulty. It is about becoming someone who is no longer defined by it. Someone who adapts, who learns, who continues moving forward no matter what stands in their way. And as you continue on this path, something within you becomes unshakable, a certainty, a knowing, not based on external results, but on internal transformation. You begin to trust yourself at a level you never have before. You begin to move with confidence that does not depend on circumstances. You begin to see clearly what you are capable of becoming. And once you see it, truly see it, there is no going back. Because you cannot unknow your potential. You cannot unsee your vision. You cannot return to a life that no longer aligns with who you are becoming. And this is where the shift becomes permanent, where the old identity fades, where the new identity takes control, where you stop thinking like someone who is trying to escape struggle, and you start thinking like someone who is building legacy. Because that is what wealth truly is. Not just money, but impact, freedom, creation, the ability to shape your reality instead of being shaped by it. And that power, that ability, has been within you all along, waiting for a decision, for a moment, for a shift. And that shift is happening now, right here, in this moment. Because you are no longer the person you were when you started listening. Something has changed, something has awakened, and from this point forward, you move differently, you think differently, you act differently, because you understand something that most people never will. Wealth is not something you chase, it is something you become. And once you become it, there is nothing in this world that can take it away.